Eclipse of the Korven, the 26th episode of Series 1, is written by Shane Armstrong and S.P. Cross, and it's starring John Leeson, Keegan Joyce, Philippa Coulthard, Daniel Webber, and Robert Maloney. So this is the final episode. It reveals who Thorn and Lomax is. Oh boy. So this episode begins with the whole gang watching space-time manipulator playing up again, so K-9 thinks the mission is more important than saving the Earth. So he flies to Millennium Dome even though he can't regenerate again. So K-9 finds Thorn, and he told K-9 that the invasion is coming.
Something's coming.
What?
An invasion.
I find it amusing when they met the creature and it gave K-9 and Thorn the smell of bad breath.
Next time you build a super soldier, may I suggest you incorporate some breath mint DNA?
So Darius finds June, who's now a constable. Professor Griffin sees a portal is producing energy on the scanner.
Portal? It's exporting energy.
While Starkey and Georgie followed CCPCs into the dome, and there's a moment where Starkey and Georgie were about to kiss, but CCPC stopped them, so they run for it. Finds out that Thorn works for the invaders.
You're a traitor to your entire planet.
I'm not strictly from this planet.
It was pretty gangster when June blasted CCPCs and said she doesn't like to be called Mrs. And there's Darius saying, "You'll try to remember that."
I don't like being called Mrs.
Yeah, I'll remember that.
Starkey and Georgie arrived where Thorn, K-9 into the portal opens, Lomax is a commander of Korven from the far future to warp the British government. I think he's pretty cool. Professor Griffin is the only chance to save the Earth, so he faces his fear by going outside, which is a well done scene. The acting from Robert Maloney and the direction that he was given.
There's nowhere to go but up.
And out.
Darius and June went to Griffin Manor and get asked by Starkey to use the termination code. So Thorn says Griffin will never see his family again, and Professor Griffin arrived to let Thorn know his family's name. So Griffin uses a voice code which sent Lomax away, and Trojan appeared and threw K-9 on the floor.
Destroy them! Start with the dog!
Thorn reveals his Merrin hand, so then Trojan fell on Thorn and he's crushed. Luckily, we don't get to see his body with it being a kid's show. Starkey and Georgie went to K-9 as he's dead, so back at the mansion everyone grieves over K-9. Starkey, Darius and Georgie tells him what a great friend he is. It's an emotional, well acted and handled.
You're my best friend.
So Starkey puts his coat over K-9, the regeneration circuit appeared and disappeared in Starkey's hand. So everyone looks for it and K-9 is back to life. Hooray! K-9 feels frisky, everyone's happy that he's alive, and he says, affirmative.
Affirmative!
Man, it's a shame that it's the last time we see those characters, except K-9 as of time recording. I really like the show since I was a kid. The characters are likeable. That would be great if they crossed over with Doctor Who. I'd love to see the Doctor meeting Professor Griffin. That would be cool. Any connections with Doctor Who? Well, Professor Griffin shouted the voice termination code Sigma Theta,
Sigma Theta!
which is the Doctor's Gallifreyan name, except it's the other way around. And he also said that was a name for Omega during Bob Baker and Dave Martin's early discussion for Doctor Who, The Three Doctors. More to discuss is that Zephon and Axon are in Liberation. We can see the drawings of Mandrel, Alpha Centauri and Sea Devil, which is cool. K-9 mentions he has a long history, which we all know because of Doctor Who, K-9 and Company and Sarah Jane Adventures. Premiere broadcast for this episode is 5th of July 2010. So, this is a great final for the series. It would be great if they did second series. It was in production, K-9 would have a new design. Bob Baker and Paul Tams were hoping it doesn't take another 11 years for that to happen. And there was deals about bringing back the series in a reboot, calling it K-9 Adventures. So then Bob said the series won't continue and they'll focus on the Timequake film for now. Bob Baker and Paul Tams announced in 24th of October 2015. K-9 Timequake film to be released in 2017 with K-9 facing Omega in deep space, which would have been cool. I'd love to see that. Sadly it didn't happen. However, on 9th of September 2018, despite the cancellation, it was announced that a new multi-million-dollar series was in development under partnership with a major US/UK company before the release of the feature film. On 20th of December 2020, Megabytes, an anthology featuring K-9 was released, which was teased as being the road to Timequake. After Bob Baker has finished the script for future K-9 film and series, he sadly passed away in 3rd of November 2021, rest in peace, which I hope they'll do that for his tribute. But as of time of recording, this was the final message posted on the account, and there's no other information available to suggest the project is still active. So, what did you think of this episode and the K-9 series? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.